Welcome to Psychos and Sociopaths. This is going to be put up in the evening because we were busy all week and I was sick and couldn't do a lot of stuff. But today we're going to talk about what happened in Wichita Falls a couple of years ago. And we're going to talk about Kody Lott. Lott was born in January 7th, 1996 in Wichita Falls, Texas. To David and Christy Lott. What's really, and I'm going to jump a little bit on this one. The reason why he did all this was because he said the devil told him to do it.
Yeah, the devil told him to become evil to save this young girl from the evils of the world. Because I watched his police interview.
Yeah.
And he said, he's like, he didn't like the fact that she had a boyfriend and she was going to end up getting raped before she was out of high school, and he was just trying to save her from the evils of the world.
That doesn't sound anything mentally ill or anything. That was another thing that I like about I found this website. It's called Real Live Villains. That's what I got most of my stuff on this one. Well, and the TV interviews. This is so recent we can actually look at the interviews and everything.
Right.
Well, they have categories on here, and it goes mentally ill, imprisoned, mass shooter, perverts, paranoid, addicts, modern villain, murder, destroyer, innocent, cowards, power hungry, spoiled brats, emotional villains, mastermind. I don't think he was a mastermind.
Yeah,
he was a mastermind. He was, but anyways, from nobody to nightmare, drug dealers,
he wasn't.
He
had a drug problem, I think, but yeah, he did have a drug problem, but I mean, they're trying to blame it on. Where he was trying to blame it on, and his dad's trying to blame it on the stresses of the divorce between him and his mother, and one excuse after the other.
Well, he's 20 years old.
Yeah,
that was the whole problem.
Well, at the time he was like 17 when it happened. So, but I don't know. It to me.
No, he was 20 years old when he did it.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Well, 19 when he did it, because he was born January. No, he was 20. He was born January 7th, 1996, and it happened in September 2nd,
right?
2016. He was prosecuted in 2018. He was found guilty, sentenced to life in prison for his crimes. Honestly, I thought he should have just been murked.
Yeah.
But it's really ridiculous on some of the stuff that you find out. And this happened, I think Jason, I was over in that area visiting a friend of mine. And I was like, all the cops and everything. I was like, hey, what's going on? I was like, oh, there was a shooting. I was like, and he did this with like a 22 rifle.
Yeah, it was a 22 rifle. But he hit her like 15 times.
Yeah.
Twice in the head. So, while her body may still have had an activity going on, they did ultimately pronounce her. I think they waited until they got her to the hospital to pronounce her dead. But she laid bleeding out for quite a while. So,
yeah.
I mean, he once he hit her in the head, she was done. I mean, even if they'd have been able to resuscitate her, she would have been a vegetable. And I mean, clinically brain dead. So it's just the body hadn't given it up yet.
Yeah. But it wasn't like a open and shut case on this one either. It took, let's see here.
Interesting fact is that the 2 years that he was in county jail here, waiting for the trial and everything like that, they found child porn on his cell phone, so they hit him with another charge. So, yeah,
Well,
because of and because in his lawyer, God, you know, and that's just the thing about defense attorneys. It's like, how do they sleep at night? You know what I mean? Because some of these lawyers, I mean, they'll represent it's just absolute scum. I mean, to them, it's just a paycheck, right? But you know,
a lot of the time it really is. It's like it's like when I was working corrections and everything. There was times that, like, I had to step up and tell the truth and everything, and even though it was going against an inmate with another inmate, I was like, no, this is what happened, and that's how a lot of people didn't like me when I was working corrections, because I do the right thing.
Yeah, so I mean, but they moved his trial to Fort Worth because, I mean, just the incredible amount of media coverage here in this podunk ass little town of 105,000 people.
Yeah, that when it happens in like small towns like this, I mean, it gets super media coverage.
Yeah, but the jury in Fort Worth, they denied his insanity plea, and they found him guilty, life in prison for the murder, and then they gave him like an additional 20 years for the assault on the other girl. Because for Michaela, but Michaela Smith actually, but because I remember the day that happened, because I remember her dad. I used to work with her dad when I worked at Blue Cross, and it was shortly after 3:30. Well, it was about three. No, between 3:30 and 3:30.
No, it was like. Well, yeah, it was
because McNeil Junior High gets out at 3:00.
Yeah.
So he got up and just bam bolted. Nobody knew what the heck was going on, and so and then everybody started like, oh, you know, there was a shooting, and then, I mean, it started popping up all over Facebook, and you know, so but. He was living with his dad at the time, and the apartment complex that's over there on Barnett.
Yeah,
you could it over like you
that's
could
the apartment
see
complex I was at.
Yeah, so he would watch her, like he would just watch not necessarily her at first, but like he could see kids getting out of school at McNeil, and he said for whatever reason, just like she caught his eye, and he just kept watching her like for a month and a half.
Well, it was stalking. So, but no, I was listening to a show, and they were talking about they were getting information from people that were talking on the show, or it's one of those call-in shows, and what had happened was the woman found out that he had a dossier of like all the times that, you know, ex-boyfriends where they lived and everything like that on his computer, and they were moving in together.
Yeah,
I was like, wow, that's really creepy.
Yeah, I mean, you had mentioned his drug abuse earlier. He was actually arrested 4 times in 2014, Wichita, Baylor, Will-Barger counties, for drug possession and property theft.
What kind of drugs, though? Because I haven't seen it.
Most likely it's going to be for things like weed. But it was his mom and his stepdad's apartment that he was living in. Actually, it says that he watched her for about a year, growing jealous upon learning that Lauren had a boyfriend and becoming convinced that the devil was telling him to kill her. His mom and stepdad went on a vacation, so he had the apartment all to himself. He went to the gun safe, got the .22. And it was 15 shots that he fired. Hit Lauren 14 times, hit Michaela once. But, and Michaela still carries the bullet around. She's got the round still lodged in her body. Like it rested into a place that was just like really tricky. So they opted to leave it in there. But so once he did the shooting, he dumped the gun in an alleyway somewhere next to a dumpster or something like that.
By the way, dumping the gun never works out.
Oh, never. But
almost like 80% of the times they find the gun.
I mean, unless you like dump it in the middle of a lake. But anyways, I digress.
Our lakes, yeah, you could do that, but they have nowadays they have scavengers.
Yeah.
That go to like lakes, but like our lakes, anything like in the south and everything like that, all you have is like muddy lakes. You don't have clean lakes.
Oh,
Bless
yeah.
you.
But then they had, like, I think it was the day after or a couple days after, they had a memorial, like a vigil at the shooting site. And there was this couple that had driven into town to attend it. And they kept getting lost and turned around. So they finally got to the area where it was at. And all of the with the news coverage and everything like that, I mean, the description of the vehicle went out and all this. This couple that had driven in from out of town spotted him going back by the memorial, back by the shooting site.
What a piece of shit.
So he drove by and like sat there during the memorial.
What a shit pump.
Right? So these people, they were like, hey, isn't that the description of the car? And so they called it in. And the police officers that were there, one of them was called over to respond to it. And they pulled him over. And he'd already gone back and like recovered the gun. And so there was eyewitnesses at the apartment complex that stated that they saw him get out of his vehicle, reach into his back seat, and pull out something that was covered. It was obvious that it was a rifle because he had tucked it up under his arm and he was trying to act all nonchalant about it. Because he went back to recover the gun because he thought, well, if my stepdad gets back and he realizes that gun's missing, I'm going to get in trouble. So he went back, got the gun.
God, this guy's stupid.
Wiped it down and everything like that and put it back in the safe, right? So, but when the police officer here pulled him over, he had brass knuckles. And at the time, brass knuckles were illegal to own in the state of Texas. So they arrested him.
Yeah.
And so they used that as means to arrest him. And then once they got him to the police station and the detective was interviewing him, they used the crime to stopper tip, like, well, hey, your vehicle matches it. What were you doing over there? And yeah, I mean, at first he just kept denying it. I mean, this interview was basically a train wreck. Like, you just couldn't turn away. And so he eventually just came out and he was like, yeah, I've been talking to the devil, and the devil told me that, I needed to kill her. And he said that he became evil in order to save her from the evils of the world.
Yeah.
And
you know what? Thinking about it, we really hadn't have like the devil made me do it in a while.
Well, this dude personified it, and he had been releasing, like, posting articles about mass shooters and their Illuminati links and stuff like that to his social media pages. It just a lot of paranoia and stuff like that. So he'd been probably planning a shooting murder of somebody. He knew that he was going to kill somebody for probably 2.5 years before he actually went ahead and did it. But and I feel bad for his parents because his dad drove in. Actually, I think his dad still lives here in town. But, I mean, his dad was like, at first his dad was like, if he did it, he did it. And he needs to pay. Which is what any rational human being would say. Hey, if he did the crime, he needs to do the time.
Unless you got someone that thinks that their kid's innocent and everything, and they're precious. That no
Well,
matter
I mean,
what.
his dad. I'm not saying his dad was a bad person, right? You know, we're not going to sit there and try to shoehorn him into this stereotypical mold that he was. Like,
no, it's nothing. It's nothing to do with that.
I know. It
was.
And I'm not saying that you were going to start down that road.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm saying. But I mean, he grew up a lot. You know, spent a good chunk of his childhood up in like Ringling, Oklahoma, I think it was.
Yeah.
I mean, his dad was like, you know, hey, Kody was an exceptional kid, and he made good grades and everything like that. But once the divorce hit, his behavior took a turn for the worse. He started, you know, doing drugs, becoming more violent.
Yeah, at that age,
you know,
I don't know what it is, but they can't accept the fact that their world is changing. There's a lot of people that can't do that. They end up
and see, and that comes back on the parents.
Yeah,
it really does. And you know, I mean, I get that. You know, the kids, they have to make that realization. They have to start piecing together that new reality.
I don't know why they can't just go, oh, 2 Christmases now.
True. You know, I mean, like, and not to make the story about me, but it like my kids. Okay. They're going, you know, I mean, the divorce has been final for like 2 years. You know, now. Going on 2 years. I've been separated / divorced from my last wife for the better part of 3 years now. You know, and but you know what kind of environment that they have at the house when they're with her, I don't know. I mean, that's not my job to know. I mean, you kind of you have to put it on the other parent to say, you know, you are being trusted with the safety and security of our children. It's not your kids, not my kids. It's our kids, right?
I always ask if anything is like with my kid. I just ask, it's like, okay, are you being hurt or anything like that? No.
Yeah, I mean, I'll ask those. I'll ask those obligatory questions, like, you know, hey, how's everything at home? You guys doing okay?
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that. You know, but as it relates to this case, you know, it's like once the mom remarried, and you know the stepdad, I don't know what kind of person the stepdad is. The stepdad seemed all indignant because he's like, well, that's my gun. I want my gun back. Like, well, no.
It was part of a crime. It has to be
your son, your stepson used your weapon in a murder. So this weapon has blood on it now, you know, and it's like, this is now state or, you know, county evidence. You know, it's like, it's not going to be released ever. He's not going to get that gun back.
And it's a fucking 22.
Yeah.
I mean, they're what, like $150 a pop?
If that. And, you know, that's depending on, you know.
That's why a lot of people, it's like, why, the only time frame I carry my competition gun is when I go up to the range when I need to practice with it. But any time I go around town, I still practice with the going around town
gun.
I mean, they're just smaller and everything like that.
They're plinkers, and they're great. Now, let's, for those of our listening audience or viewing audience that are gun aficionados, yes, we understand that 22s are lethal. Obviously, in this case, it was proven. But, you know, we've got people up in Alaska that are dropping moose with 22.
Yeah, that's really amazing. It doesn't matter what kind of firearm you use.
Lethality is lethality.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, you can have a debate forever. It's like, oh no, this round's good, but we're not getting on that.
Yeah, we're not getting on that because I mean, we're trying to stay focused on this particular episode.
Yeah.
But,
even though it's going to be a kind of short one because it's kind of recent, and
yeah,
we just wanted to do. I think once a month we're going to try to do something for our hometown and everything, even though it's kind of bad, but...
Yeah, I mean, and even before, leading up to the murder, he was dealing with an ex. Kody Lott was, and he was dealing with an ex. I mean, even up into, I think, like maybe the day of or the day before, he sent his ex a threatening text because she had started getting involved with somebody else, and I think actually got pregnant. And... so he got all...
He has very abandonment issue stuff.
Well, for what it's worth, he kind of brought that on himself.
Yeah.
You know, now what kind of environment that his mom and stepdad provided for him, don't really know. I mean, did they do anything to, like, help get him into, like, rehab or anything like that? Get him to a counselor? You know, something. Or were they just like, oh, I'm just so glad to have you. You can just kind of run them, run amok and do whatever you want. It's like, all right, well, look, you kids got drug issues. Why in the ever-loving shit?
Why is he not in rehab?
Why are you giving him access to your gun safe? And it's not to pile on. It's not to add insult or injury or anything like that. It's not to rub salt in the wounds. I mean, it's already bad enough that you're dealing with the fact that your son is now a murderer. Okay? But why is it that stepdad, at the very least, coming up on charges of gun negligence?
Yeah.
Because, and that's one of the bigger things, kind of like a bigger issue thing. All these gun control advocates want to talk about taking guns away from people that are law-abiding and making it harder for them because, criminals, they obey the law whenever they're purchasing their weapons, right?
They always do.
Right, always.
When you're in gun-free zone, not one gun.
Not one gun?
No criminal.
Gun-free zones work. Just ask the men and women that died at Fort Hood,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because that was a gun-free zone.
That was ridiculous.
But
I'm sorry, on something like that, anytime that happens on a military base, I'm like...
Well, we can thank the Clinton administration for
that.
But getting back to this case, anytime like you see a school shooting or something like that, it's always a kid that got the gun from their parents,
Well, the one that just happened recently.
Yeah, I mean, he stole the gun from his dad's gun safe or some shit like that. It's like, okay.
And I'm surprised it's not, like, publicized a little bit more.
Well, it's because that particular gun shooting didn't fit the narrative.
Yeah.
Kid was black. And, he went in. I think it was just because he was...
No, he was being bullied and everything.
Yeah, he was
like
being
that.
bullied. But it didn't fit the narrative. So he went in there, and it was just... He just started randomly shooting.
Yeah.
Okay. It's still tragic. It's still...
he still shot the kid that was bullying.
Yeah, he shot the kid that was bullying.
But he just kept on going.
But he just kept going. So, and he still had access.
And he turned himself in.
After a while. But he still had access to those guns.
Yeah.
Free access. I'm like, okay, I keep my gun safe keys on me. Or I keep them out of reach. My kids do not know where my weapons, or where my gun safe key is. Period. Yes, I keep a 9mm. I keep a Glock where I can get to it in case somebody decides that they want to, test my Second Amendment right at home. But my kids understand. I've taken them to the range. They're 9 and 12. 10 and 12. They know. Hey, look, these are dangerous when improperly deployed.
Yeah.
They understand. It goes back to parenting. What kind of environment was the mother and the stepdad fostering? Were they enabling the drug use? Were they just kind of like, we don't want to deal with you. We just don't want to have to pay child support or whatever.
That's another thing that happens a lot, and it's kind of sad. Is the and this is father or mother. It doesn't really matter which one, but they end up not stepping up to take care of their kids, and it's a small percentage.
Yeah, and there's a difference between being present and being active. So. And that goes into a whole other category, but the bottom line is that the stepdad and the mom started surfacing up in these post-murder interviews, especially during the trial. We just don't think that he would have been capable of doing that, and once it was proven that he did it because he admitted to it, they're like, well. We want my gun back. And the police department and the DA's office was like, yeah, that's not happening. So I think they actually filed a lawsuit, if I'm not mistaken. If I remember correctly, they filed a lawsuit against the DA's office to get that gun released out of evidence. And they're like, no, one, because it's still an active trial. Two, it's still an active investigation. They're still investigating it at that point. At this point, he's already been transferred over to the New Boston prison over in East Texas. So that's where he's spending his days now. Kody Lott is, but
yeah, even his bail was like $4 million when they did that.
I mean,
it was stupid ridiculous.
Maureen Shelton, I think, was the DA at the time, and so she did that right.
Yeah.
You know, now, if John Gillespie had been DA at the time, he would have cut all kinds of deals with this guy. His bond would have been, like, low, and he'd been out roaming the streets.
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing that? You're gonna get us shot down.
What pisses me off is after time it gets brought down anyways, because Ava's killer was like $1 million bond, and then after a while it was like $100,000.
Yeah, you know, for somebody who was quote unquote ran on a platform of being tough on crime, there sure seems to be a lot of deals getting made with some of the more heinous crimes, while people who, you know, people who either A, didn't really do anything, or B, basically like Class B misdemeanor type things, right? They're having the book thrown at them, and they're being, you know, their cases are being drug out. The DA that was active at the time, the DA that was in office at the time that this case and this trial was all going down, was Maureen Shelton. And this case, for me at least, and I know for the you know, for the family of Lauren, and for the Smith family, for Michaela, both, they feel as though, okay, this was handled properly. He was brought to justice. He's serving time. He's not going to be eligible for his first parole hearing for like another 30 years.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's going to be like 2047 or something like that before, you know, he's eligible for parole. And let me see something here. I saw where his date was. He's serving the sentences concurrently and will be eligible for parole on September 3rd of 2046. Now, his parents did become not his parents. Lauren's parents became activists for stiffer penalties for people who murder children. And effective September 1st, one of the laws that went into effect with the whole mass signing by Governor Abbott.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Lauren's Law.
Yeah.
It toughened penalties in certain murder cases involving children. So, and I believe that this guy, I believe that his sentencing didn't fall under Lauren's Law, but this case was the reason for Lauren's Law.
Yeah, a lot of the cases that we go over, they end up making laws that would hopefully help prevent it.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously we can't sit there and be all like, well, we need to retroactively do this, or, you know, that we needed to know about this back then. It's unfortunate that through tragedy and loss that we bring things into existence that ultimately make us as a society safer. And again, incredibly unfortunate. But the fact is that now this is a legacy type thing. Okay, so, you know, whenever, you know, in the future, if you know, children become, you know, victims of murder, this, you know, Lauren's Law is going to be cited and used in those cases.
I wonder if that actually bans out for the people that are being pedophiles and everything like that.
Well, no, because I mean, it's specifically Lauren's Law specifically deals with murder. Now, as far as you know, as far as like pedophilia, or child pornography, stuff like that, I'm sure that there's another law named after a victim that's out there.
Yeah, we went over a couple of them.
Yeah, but I mean, but Lauren's family said that since her death, they, along with their family, friends, and community, they've all struggled, you know, because, see, if she was 7th or 8th grade, 2018, she'd be a junior or possibly even a senior now, getting ready to graduate high school. So, you know, when you know, because when Michaela graduates, they were classmates.
Yeah.
When Michaela graduates, that's going to be a big thing, and that is going to be a hard moment. It's going to be a very, like, melancholy, you know, moment for Lauren's family, because while they're going to be happy that Michaela graduated and that she's moving on with her life and she's about to step into adulthood, they're going to be devastated. They're going to be heartbroken that they're not getting to watch Lauren walk across the stage. And there's really no recompense for that. I know I'm not using the word properly, but there's not going to be any kind of like reparations for that. There's not going to be any kind of solace for that type of thing. You know, so I mean, every time Lauren's birthday rolls around, I mean, and even here more recently, it was this year. You know, those horse statues that we have all over town that are painted differently.
Yeah.
The one that was put outside of McNeil was Lauren's horse, right? The one that was painted for her.
Oh, okay.
Some couple of jackass kids here in town decided it'd be funny to fucking steal the horse. So it came up missing.
What the?
Yeah.
Yeah, people are.
Well, you know, because those horses, those are mounted to like bronze plates, right? And the bronze plates
cut them off.
Yeah, well, they cut them off at the hooves. They cut the horse off at the hooves and put the horse in the back of a damn pickup truck, just haul it off somewhere. And there was like I think it was like a $10,000 reward for information leading to the recovery of the horse. And they eventually found the horse, and the people that was behind it, they figured it out, and they arrested them. And, you know, those people are sitting over there at the county annex right now waiting trial. But
I don't know why there's so many shit pumps around.
Yeah, it's just because, and it's like I tell my sons, you know,
don't be a shit pump.
People in this world suck.
Yeah.
And we can't control what people do. The only thing that we can control is how we react to it.
Yeah.
And what we can do to make our portion, our corner of the universe, a better place to be. And you know, we can get into the whole killing them with kindness kind of a thing, and just, you know, being better people.
Or you name your gun kindness. Or the
right,
axe.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you name your self-defense weapon kindness, so that way you can kill them with that. But, you know, in all seriousness, it's like getting back to the dad, the mom, the stepdad for Kody Lott. It's my responsibility as a dad. Even if I was still married to their mom, it's still my responsibility. It's my God outlined role to be a model for my boys, to show them what it means to be not only a God-fearing man, but to be a responsible male.
Yeah.
You know, step into that role of leadership for your family, for your mate, you know, whether it be girlfriend, wife, what have you. And I unfortunately, I think as far as Kody Austin Lott was concerned, he didn't have that guidance. He didn't. Now, I know that he was living with his dad for a while, and then he went to go live with his mom and his stepdad. I don't know if that was just because his dad couldn't handle it. And I'm not throwing anybody under the bus by any stretch of the imagination. At least not as his biological dad. He probably said, look, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do to fix this. I don't know what to do to help you. And his mom probably came in and said, well, he just needs his mom. And so his dad was like, well, okay. So, you know, if at least at that time, maybe his dad was thinking, I'm doing what is best for my kid.
No, that kid needed therapy.
Well, we can say that now. But at the time, you know,
even before that, most kids that get
once he got into the drugs and everything like that, yeah. I mean, you know, hey, look, son, we need to get you into rehab. We need to get you some therapy, some counseling. Yeah, I think that ultimately that a mark was missed there.
Yeah.
But But yeah, no, keyboard still doesn't work. Okay, but yay, AppleCare, here I come. But you know, it he was denied some basic parenting.
Yeah, somewhere down the line.
Somewhere down the line, he was denied some basic parenting. Now, are we saying that a cohesive family unit, family environment that's conducive and nurturing, is that going to be the end-all to be-all to cure-all for any future serial murderers or murderers, period?
No, some
that's
of
not
them
what
are
we're
just
saying.
fucktards.
You know, some people just, they get off on it, and they realize, you know, hey, we go down this rabbit hole, and somewhere the wires get crossed.
Yeah.
And there's a short circuit somewhere upstairs.
And sometimes it's just an accident.
Yeah, sometimes it is. It's sometimes
not like,
it is
you know,
just
accident
an accident
of, you know, human nature, but accident of, like, there's a lot of people that they flip their switch because they get hit by a car or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, the universe tried its damnedest that day a couple of weeks ago to take me off of this planet. But, you know, I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, and get pop. You know, I'm going to be like that. You know, I'm not going to start leveling my barrel.
I don't know about that yet. I'm still testing it.
Look, man, I've already had, this is like my third or fourth cup of coffee this morning.
Yeah, it's like a shot of tranquilizer for you, though. But that's most
But there's Geneva Convention articles that state that I cannot hold a weapon in my hand until I've had at least one cup of coffee. But
I wonder if there is.
you know what? I'm going to go look.
That'd be so funny.
Right? Like, thou shalt not, you know. It reads like a commandment.
It's like it has your name specifically on there.
Oh, right, yeah, like the Johnny Skelton provision in the Geneva Convention.
Yeah.
But that you know, I'm not sure. I'm not if we ran across something like that, I'm not sure that I would either be A, proud of it, or B, concerned.
I'd be proud of it. I mean, how many articles of in the Geneva Convention? I mean, you did something so horrible once they had to make an article in the Geneva Convention to do it.
True.
I mean, you got away with a war crime once.
Yeah, you know, you can shoot an officer once before it becomes a war crime, you know, stuff like that. But yeah, just for whatever reason, if I sit there and pull up the virtual keyboard,
It works.
it works. But I don't want to have to do that. Why is it doing that? I have no idea.
Anyways, I guess that's it for this time, folks. Sorry for being a little bit late today. The What the Hell episode will be on time. I guess catch you guys later. I'm David Dickerman.
I'm Johnny Skelton.
And this is Psychos and Sociopaths doing Kody Lott. Thank you, folks.